What is up, guys and girls? In this video, I want to give you a few thought-provoking tips on time management that might just shock your world. It will change how you think. And as a basis for this, we're using the standard 40-hour work week. That is the standard typical work week for the US citizen and for many other countries in the world. Now, whether or not you're actually doing the 40-hour work week now or not, it's still a great reference just to, shock your system a bit. So 40 hours a week. Most people work 40 hours a week. The average adult for most of his or her life, when we're talking millions of people, works 40 hours a week. And thankfully, since I've been just studying tons and tons of super successful people, billionaires, millionaires, it really has just shocked my system in terms of understanding how that is. And perhaps it will shock your system. So here's the message I want to convey to you. When you're constantly looking at people who are working 60, 80, 90 hours a week, the 40-hour week is like, it's easy. But let me just break it down to you with just some simple math to just wrap your head around how within a 40-hour week, you can just utilize so much more time. Now, as a caveat, I will go into the latter half of this video talking about how you shouldn't overexhaust yourself, because it is not as simple as a direct correlation as in the harder you work, the more you get out of life. There is a sort of drop off where you hit exhaustion, and then you get a negative correlation where the more you work, the less sleep you get, the more deprived of energy you get, and your results start depleting, and then yada yada yada. But we'll get into that. Let's just focus now on the 40-hour work week. So 40 hours a week, that's roughly 8 hours a day, right? 8 hours a day. Let's say you're a heavy sleeper, and so we're giving you the benefit of the doubt, okay? Let's just assume you sleep a lot. And again, if you can cut each of these things as well a little bit if you really want to. I prefer not to, because I think a certain minimum of sleep is really important as well. I would say a minimum of 7 hours based off the studies in Arianna Huffington's book, Sleep Revolution. However, let's just say you need 8 hours. 8 hours of sleep every day, 8 hours of work. That still gives you what? 8 hours a day on weekdays. So 8 times 5, that's 40 hours a week of free time just on the Monday through Friday scale. Plus you have the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, where now you have 16 hours. Why? Because you sleep 8 hours. You don't have to work those 8 hours. So you have 8 hours of free time plus the 8 hours of work you should have had on weekends, which you now have for free. Adding up, again, simple math. It's just basic addition. Simple math, 16 plus 16, that's 32 hours on the weekends plus 40 hours on the weekday. That is an additional, you got it right, 72 hours of free time every single week that adults are wasting. And here's the thing, if you talk to an average adult, they will tell you how stressed out and overworked they are on a typical 40-hour work week. Now, what do we do with all that time? It's kind of strange how it all goes to waste. And I think there's multiple ways why it goes to waste. I think the first way is simply the fact that we've just come to this as a standard, and because of this, it's almost like we deserve to waste time, and so we don't even we let it go. And for me, myself, I'm not someone sitting on a high horse. I think for me, I'm definitely a culprit. And just working out the math, I was just shocked to death at how much time we waste. But to just be really honest with myself, yes, we need to shower. Yes, we need to eat dinner. And those things add in more time. We need to eat breakfast too, lunch. We need to poop. We need to go to the bathroom. We need to do our laundry. We need to wash the dishes. Those things, those chores add up time. Plus, if you want to go somewhere fun, there's the commute to and back. If you want to go to the gym and stay fit, you have to do that too. And then there's the commute to and from. So, okay, there are certain things that you have to add in that I'm not adding in. Having said that, I really think that you can, at the very least, start using some of this time more efficiently. I really think you do. Maybe you won't utilize all 72% or 72 hours, but perhaps 10 hours a week. And perhaps that simply means not spending so long eating breakfast or taking a shower or doing any of this stuff. And I like to call this lag time. And what I mean by that is it's time where you feel like you can just spend more time doing it simply because you don't have to go to work. So let's say you wake up earlier, you just drag on you extend the amount of time you spend getting ready for work because because you have that extra time. So how can you keep that short and use that extra time for something more productive? So those are just some helpful tips. Now let's get to the second part of this video, which is on exhaustion and this whole dilemma of overwork. There's a ton of Americans and other people of all different countries who work 60, 70-hour weeks, and they work more than 40 hours a week at work. And I think it's definitely overdone for this crowd. A lot of them work themselves to death, and many are still kind of floundering about, not being impactful. It's not just working hard, it's working smart, working on the right things. And it's not as simple as a direct correlation. I think working hard is definitely one of those simple levers that you can crank up to the full potential to overcome a lot of your competition or do more. Elon Musk has mentioned it. Will Smith has mentioned it. There's been plenty of interviews of successful people who have mentioned it. Having said that, though, there's also an element of working smart, doing the most impactful thing. There's this ancient Chinese proverb, a drop of wisdom is better than an ocean of brute strength. And it definitely makes sense. There are certain things, and I'm sure you've had these situations yourself, where if I was just smarter from the start, I could have just done this with a computer program or Excel spreadsheet, and it would save me a weeks of work because I simply did it through brute force and brute hard work, when if I just thought it through, it would have taken me a couple seconds or minutes or hours rather than a whole week of time or whole days of time. So the point is, see if you can do things smarter. Is there a more efficient way of doing things? Perhaps rather than eating food for 30 minutes a day, how about you chop that down a bit? How about you batch eat? Or how about you batch cook? Rather than cook every single day, there's a lot of run-up time and start-up time and stop time and washing the dishes time. It's often more efficient to batch cook and cook your whole week's worth of food once per week. All those things add up. A lot of YouTubers, they batch produce their videos because it's more efficient and it saves them time. Rather than doing one video a day, they do a set's worth, a whole week's worth in a week. So keep those things in mind, and those can really help you. Now, today, since we're just focusing on time management, I'm going to give you some more tips on managing your time. Of course, if you want more details, I go into a really comprehensive blog article, which I'll link below on my blog. But the biggest thing I want to share with you is this whole idea of utilizing the time you have at work better. So outside of those 72 hours that I have just made you aware of, there's also the hours you spend at work. How much you want to bet that most people don't actually work 8 hours a day, even though they clock in and clock out at 8 hours a day? Most people. Why? Because they're talking to their coworkers, they're surfing the internet, they are doing all sorts of things that conflict, and that time adds up. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes here, that adds up quickly. Another huge thing is lunch breaks. Some businesses give hour-long lunch breaks, and at that point you're not even working 40-hour work weeks, you're working 35-hour work weeks. So just by doing these things, you can really get ahead. I finally I want to finish this off with a great technique from Brian Tracy, and he calls it the 1-1-1, or the trilogy technique. The basic idea is you get to work 1 hour early, you work through lunch, and you stay 1 hour later. Now, the point of it is you obviously get 3 more hours of work in, and you get back the time you waste eating lunch for an hour a day. However, on top of that, you all of a sudden cut through that time you spend in rush hour traffic. Do you ever want to like buy back time in your life, or magically have more time in your life, or fast forward time in your life, rather than spending 30 minutes in traffic? If you just get to work an hour ahead of time, or you stay 1 hour later until the traffic's gone, and you go home 1 hour later, you've worked longer, and that traffic is just like non-existent now, and you get home quicker, and that time is saved. So now you've just bought back up to an hour a day from traffic alone, especially if you have a 30-minute or longer commute. That's more time saved. Now, let's just say you are stuck in a situation where you are standing, sitting, working, driving in your car. Put in an audiobook, listen to a YouTube video. Make that time educational time. We waste hours every week just standing in line, waiting in a car or wherever else. You could use that time to educate yourself like you're doing now and get way ahead of the competition. Now, back to my big emphasis on the second part of this video. Don't overdo it. The point is, you don't want to overdo this. I've been a culprit of this, and I think many people have as well. Like, this overexhaustion is not exactly a good thing. And I think the most successful people in the world are different from those who are moderately successful in the fact that they have found fun in what they do. They aren't those people who are burnt out or doing it simply for some distant goal of fame or fortune or money that they think will make them happy but might not even make them happy. So find some way to make this fun. And if you are burning yourself out, or you are really not enjoying it, or you're exhausting yourself, stop doing it. And if you look at Richard Branson, Elon Musk, all these people, they enjoy what they do. They've made work and fun an awesome time. So find work you enjoy, or work towards that, move towards that. It's not going to happen on your first job, but you can move towards it. And through that, you can really start having more fun, and then you won't burn yourself out. You won't get exhausted by all this, and you won't feel like what's the point if you're not enjoying yourself and you're just burnt out all the time. And sometimes you want to like go back to normal, because let's just face it, you can come off like just too impatient, too stringent when you're always like this. And I've caught myself doing this sometimes. Sometimes I just gotta look around and relax and enjoy myself, because everyone else isn't like this. They're not all uptight and freaking out if you waste 1 minute of your day. So just chill out. Having said all this, it's so much. I just want to conclude with saying that it is much more difficult in practice than in theory to utilize all the time in your day. It's just very difficult to do in practice, and I think there's a lot of reasons behind this. I think all the small things that you don't think will take long just add up, and you're like, what did I just do with my day? And that's an issue, but I think your goal should just be to make your day slightly more efficient than the last day. And if you can slowly move that process, you live a long life, and over time you can get there. I think you can easily get overwhelmed or frustrated, but if you're moving in the right direction, it can really help. That's all I gotta say. And just coming from personal experience, I'm definitely not an expert at this. This is just all the stuff I've picked up from all the time management and productivity stuff that I've consumed over the years. And I think it'll really help you, but at the same time, it is a bit of a struggle. If you want to see further reading, I'll go ahead and check out the articles that I'll link below on my blog. But of course, on top of that, if you want to seek advice on productivity from other people, I highly, highly suggest you listen to only the best of the best, because those people have advice that are very different from the productivity blogs out there, the productivity experts, or just like random millionaires or whoever else you're seeking advice from, especially expert advice. For example, billionaires, they don't talk about hopping on 15 to 30 different productivity apps like a lot of these experts do. In fact, many of them don't even use email. On top of that, billionaires, they don't have a stuffed calendar often. Warren Buffett keeps his calendar very simple, but he makes those things on his calendars the highest impact top things that he can. So there's an element of simplicity there. And the point is, all this like confusion and overwhelm of advice, which you will definitely see if you seek out productivity or time management on the internet or elsewhere, all that bad advice washes away when you just seek the best of the best, and listen to what they have to say about productivity. And that's what I aim to do with my articles and my videos. It's all curation from successful people. And of course, boy, oh boy, if you take a look at some of my articles, they go way more in depth than this video even does. So check them out. Hopefully it helps. And I would love to hear back to see if any of this helped at all for you. Thanks for watching.